And it starts with a man named Saint Maurice. It was with this historical figure that the people that established the accepted history unfairly eradicated any significant form of black presence from the history of medieval Europe. And there was a lot of it. But who exactly is Saint Maurice? And why is he so significant unveiling historic lies? According to the legend, Saint Maurice was a Christian soldier during the pagan Roman Empire. He was the leader of a Christian legion called the Theban Legion. It was a tough time for these people because the Roman leaders would try and force them to sacrifice to their false gods and to kill fellow Christians. Long story made short, Saint Maurice took a leap of faith, denounced the pagan leaders, and offered himself up unto death. He then was brutally martyred for his faith in Christ. The Christians during that time then venerated him for his brave acts. Was this story true? Most likely, but the people who got their hands on this story exploited it like you wouldn't believe. Now you're probably wondering, why is this character so significant that he unveils the strange agendas of those who choose to rewrite the history? Specifically the history of black people and their prominent presence in medieval and ancient Europe. How were they able to do it? Through the exploitation of this character. Here's how. The way they use this character, Saint Maurice, to eradicate the rich history of blacks in ancient Europe is beyond evil. But this strange agenda is well planned out, to say the least. As we ease into the how, you must first be aware that in almost every ancient cathedral, church, or monastery, there's at least one statue, sculpture, or bust of a black man in noble attire. This already causes some question because the consensus among many historians is that if you were black in Europe, specifically in the medieval time, you were likely a servant or had no role in society. The historians will also automatically label them as African instead of an original European, which presupposes the false notion that blacks were just from Africa, which is a false notion for another time. But then how do they cleverly explain away all the artifacts depicting black nobility? That's with two words: Saint Maurice. It's with this name they purposely falsely identify almost every and any black figure we see in history of ancient Europe. When they can't explain away the countless amounts of artifacts and manuscripts of black nobility in Europe, they slap the name Saint Maurice and turn a blind eye. Perhaps the biggest case of identity crisis the world has seen. The amount of people they falsely identify as Saint Maurice may blow your mind. And after we look into the details, it should disturb you how far they've gone to cover something up like this. Now let's take a look at the amount of black nobility in ancient Europe that they falsely identify as the mythical Saint Maurice. Not only does this evil cover-up destroy the true identity of these black nobles and royalty, but also destroys their entire genealogy, which makes it impossible to trace these people back. start off with this young black noble that they falsely identified as the mythical Saint Maurice. Notice he's a youth, which doesn't fit the narrative because Saint Maurice was an adult military commander. And notice his medieval attire, which is completely contradicting because Saint Maurice is supposed to be displayed in Roman armor. This is not displaying an ancient Christian soldier as they would like us to believe, but it's displaying a young Christian medieval royal whom we'll never find the true origin of because of the efforts they've gone to hide it. Next, we have another black noble royal knight. And guess who they claim this guy is? You guessed it, Saint Maurice. Notice the medieval attire and shield, which doesn't fit the description of Saint Maurice. Again, we have another black royal that they falsely identify as the mythical Saint Maurice to hide his true identity. Again, notice the medieval clothing, contrary to what should be Roman armor. Again, we have another noble medieval knight that they falsely identify as, of course, Saint Maurice. And we're only just getting started. Here's another black youth noble that, of course, they falsely identify as Saint Maurice. And here's another mysterious black royal classified as, of course, Saint Maurice. Again, guess who this is? Saint Maurice. And by now, you should get the gist of how they basically just claim all these black royals to be a questionable mythical Saint Maurice. But we're not even halfway done. Here's another one. Would you guess who it is? And another one. Of course, it's Saint Maurice. Would you guess who they claim this guy to be? If you guess Saint Maurice, you're correct. One of the more popular statues that you may have even seen before. And yes, apparently he's Saint Maurice too. But hey, this guy's also Saint Maurice. And so is he. It's clear at this point that almost any black noble in the medieval era that didn't have a written history already was just marked as Saint Maurice. Now, there are a few statues that probably represent the historical Saint Maurice rather than a fabricated version of him like the ones we've seen prior. For example, this one. This actually does depict a Roman soldier in a Roman uniform, better matching the description of the historical Saint Maurice. And also this one with the Roman uniform, also matching the correct description of Saint Maurice. But enough of the statues, let's look at some of the artwork depicting Saint Maurice. Clearly a medieval setting, therefore this cannot be Saint Maurice. They also claim him to be Saint Maurice, but it just doesn't add up. And here they claim is quote-unquote Saint Maurice holding a St. George flag. And if you've seen my older St. George videos, he's also somebody they love to fabricate around with. Again, clearly not an ancient Roman soldier, but apparently it is. And guess who they say this guy was? You guessed it. And to save some more time, here's a collage of black royals that are all, you guessed it, Saint Maurice. I mean, are we really to believe that all of these people are the same person whom they call Saint Maurice? Of course not. But what about their family history, their genealogies, their roles of royalty, all turned into myth with 2 words? Leaving those that took over to fill in any missing history with whatever they please. Where did the families of these people go? Were they taken out If so, it left room for the victors to write themselves into history, or to create completely fictitious narratives that didn't happen. And as we continue, we'll see how the people in control of the narrative will always change it when convenient for them. And now we'll look at how they change the historical narrative whenever they find it's convenient for them. When we look at the history of Saint Maurice, according to the old texts, he was an Egyptian. He was part of a Roman legion in Egypt called the Theban Legion. So we'd assume that the ancient Egyptians, at least during the time of the Theban Legion, were black. I'm saying this because they're so comfortable marking any black artifact they find as Saint Maurice. So they should at least be able to acknowledge that the Theban Legion and those Egyptians were black. But that's not the case, because apparently this was the Theban Legion. And I know it's part of the rewritten history, but it just doesn't add up. You see how they say whatever's convenient to just get along, as if we're not gonna question it. Another question is, how did Saint Maurice turn into this? Whose idea, and what's the purpose of alternating the story? And then there's also the famous painting called The Martyrdom of Saint Maurice. Of course, it's a very inaccurate and fictitious painting, especially when compared to all the other sources we looked at. And of course, come to find out, it was made during the Renaissance, which was a notorious time for the rewriting and manipulation of previous histories. Check out this documentary I made for more on that. With all that being said, these videos do take a lot of time, effort, and research to make, so please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Also, subscribe to my second channel in case this one gets taken down. I am posting daily shorter videos over there. Also, feel free to share this link with a friend, mirror the video, share it with a truther, whatever you feel called to do. And lastly, I know this video is gonna make some people feel some type of way for some strange reason. All I'm doing is calling out what I see and how I see it, and you in no way have to agree with it. And I'm not at all duping anyone into the whole white people are the devil false agenda. I don't agree with that nonsense at all. But I know if this video goes out, certain people are gonna try and twist it for that narrative. And I do not advocate for that at all. But I do believe there is a strange agenda to eradicate most of black history, and basically history in general. But if you made it to the end of this rant, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'm trying to talk about things that many are scared to talk about, or things that are outside of the comfort zone. Hope you enjoyed.